Oh,
I
good.
said
Yeah, hello, internet.
I said I was hitting the buttons.
Hitting the-
I'm
One
hitting
of
the
these days you got-
buttons. I
one of
don't
these
know
days
which
it's
ones
like-
I'm pressing, but I'm pressing them all.
You get like that one scene from like frickin' Forsaken where Cade's just like running his hands over the board. Something's happening. Anyway, but
Hit the
gotta
green
get, like,
button. Which one?
which green button? They're all green. God damn it, the left one, Jimmy. But oh my god, we gotta get like one of these. If we ever, whenever this all blows over, we gotta like all sit in. We got like, both gotta sit in one room together, and then we can see you fucking doing something. That way I can actually see the button get pressed and be like, hello.
Button pressing.
Anyways, but hello everyone. Welcome to midweek report. The usual funny. I'd like to,
Ha
well,
ha
not
ha
funny.
funny.
Just funny laugh. Please laugh at our terrible humor. But on the usual chaotic intro of I don't get it. I don't realize when it's starting, but I realize it's starting now. So hello internet for the third time. I don't sound like Game Theory over
I
here.
am Matt Pat now. I have evolved.
I
We're
have
doing
evolved.
theories
I have
now.
I have shed my skin. I have now become Mad Pat.
Yes.
Notice me, but oh, bad humor aside. Anyways, it's fun when you can laugh at your own jokes. But anyways, today on the midweek report, today we're going to be talking about, well, if you haven't noticed by what we're playing right now, we're going to be talking about more Destiny today. Why? Because Witch Queen is coming out within 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2022.
Yeah. They were really going for that meme when they did that.
Yes.
They had to do the twos. But anyways. And they released a new ViDoc, actually, just yesterday. Of Darkness and Light, they called it. Everyone thought that something was going to happen tomorrow other than just a news bulletin.
Yeah,
because...
update to the end of the season content, but, you know.
Yeah, for those who don't know, there's been this has been a 6-month season, or we're in the 6 months of a 6-month season, right? So basically half a year. That is a record-breaking length of season for Destiny. And yet we are still waiting for the end of the season content that was promised in a story that was more or less wrapped up back in August.
Yep.
So we've been waiting 5 months for this bloody end of season mission, which they haven't told us. They said that they were gonna do it eventually. And here's the thing. Had we spent a few more seconds on the calendar, I would have asked Justin to like go and show you guys the season banner to kind of like show that the actual calendar itself, fun fact, doesn't actually go past August, or it doesn't actually go past the Halloween event in October.
Oh.
Well, you're a fucking terrible driver.
Drive-by Guardian swamping.
Honestly, hit and run right here.
But yeah, no, it doesn't show it there. So
we
it's
really
kind of
only
a little in a weird state with the game itself.
Yeah, so we only really knew the calendar up until like the Halloween event, what they'd planned to do, because they had given us a roadmap for that, and then everything else was just up in the air. So ever since then, we've just kind of had no idea what was happening. I've played this mission so many times on Nightfall that I've just become paranoid of everything because these shanks, man, they will absolutely dome you in Nightfalls if you're not careful.
Aren't they always normally arc?
They are arc, but sometimes there'll be like tracer shanks everywhere, which will just snipe you from 100 miles off.
Yeah.
So I've become very paranoid.
Yep. Anyways. So,
yeah.
that's that when it comes to the content, really, right now, at the moment. The season's kind of in its weird state as it is, you know, waiting for the end of the season.
Honestly, from what I've heard, everyone is pissed off about this too, right? Because here's the thing. Nobody knows when this... Like, the reason that everyone's annoyed by this is because this, you know, exorcism, which is what it's called, which if you know the story of Destiny makes sense to you, is going to be the thing that leads into the next big expansion. It's going to be the kickoff event that kind of makes everything go forward. And my lord, you're behind on this.
Oh, yes, I'm behind. Yes. Anyways.
Are you just...
Anyways, you were saying.
Oh, boy. Anyways. Way to help out.
Don't worry about it. You were saying.
Anyways, as I was saying, so everyone like wants the end of the year event to happen, but unfortunately it hasn't happened. I'm not even gonna ask how you got back there.
Don't worry about it.
But it's this thing that like they're building up tension, or they're trying to build up tension, but it's not really going very well. Because unfortunately, they keep like, hey, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Eventually, just wait for it. Yeah. And then it just never happens.
Yeah, there's been all this build-up, and even on the activity astral alignment, there's in the middle of the map has been changing every so often, and eventually there's this bridge that's fully complete now. And
right, it took everyone like a few months to realize that.
But yeah,
not that it mean anything at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They're reloading.
But yeah, no, it's just kind of been sitting there, and nobody knows what's going on with it now.
Yeah, because here's the thing: that bridge, as he mentioned previously, it was mentioned, I think, a few days ago when somebody noticed it. I can't remember who was the first to notice it. I can't remember his name. But it was supposed to be completed on this weekly reset, so everyone's like, oh, there's a ViDoc coming out tomorrow, or, well, yesterday as of now.
Yeah.
Or whenever this recording was of.
Well, we're doing this on
Well, we're doing this on Wednesday, but whenever you're hearing it.
Yes.
It was technically yesterday as of this recording.
Yes.
But anyways, moving on. So they're like, okay, this bridge will be completed tomorrow that leads up to the area that probably is where the event will take place, or the mission, or whatever it's going to be. There's going to be a massive ViDoc tomorrow, so everyone's like, okay, wow, that'll probably be when, you know, the big event goes down. And there was a lot of actually theories bouncing around this. I know one person, actually, Paul Tassi over at Fords, he's been constantly theorizing as to when it will be. First, he said it would be the first week of February, because that was when... you know, kind of when it would be a nice time to pick up the story. Plus, there was a real life astral alignment happening the first week of February in the Lunar New Year, which Bungie, for those who don't know,
everything was like going on at the same time. It would be perfect to line up both real life and the game.
And Bungie does like to do that a lot with Destiny. They like to realize like real life events with like in-game events. They like doing that. So people would like, oh, that's a possibility. And that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So then he thought it might be the second week of February. Because, well, that would be technically when the event ends. So, plus his theory was that you should at least give people a 2-week buffer if it's going to be a mission or something for people to do it. Because here's the thing. When Witch Queen comes out, words are hard, all of the seasonal event from this year will be removed, including said mission. So you're basically going to put a mission in, if it were the last week, which it seems to be now, that'll only be around for 1 week, which is just really weird and just really, you know, most people won't be able to experience that because, you know, maybe say you're away for that week or something. You won't be able to experience it because it'll be removed literally the next week on Tuesday when the next reset is, so.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have enough time.
And I'm actually seeing that a lot on the comments section for videos related to this. Like, everyone's saying, like, nah, I can't, you know, I can't experience it because I got, like, for example, if someone said a business trip, or I can't, you know, or them saying, well, 1 week is just not enough time for people to experience it or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are saying at this rate, with how much they're putting it off, it might not even happen at all. In fact, one person even said, ironically, that considering how far...
It might actually happen during Witch Queen.
Yeah, some people are even saying with how far they're pushing it back and just how dumb it is that they're pushing it back, that at this point it might just happen the first, like... Because here's the thing. Bungie said, I keep doing that, I use their names interchangeably, but let's be honest, it kind of is at this point. Bungie has said the first 2 missions of Witch Queen will be free. Some people are thinking that with all the pushback they're doing with the exorcism event being the literal last week of, possibly at least the last week of the season, because we still honestly don't know. That might still not happen, which is where these theories come from. that they might make that the first mission of Witch Queen, because if it is indeed the mission that leads into the Witch Queen, then, well, story-wise, it would make sense for everyone to be able to play that so they can get caught up and everything, and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Since Bungie said the first 2 missions of Witch Queen will be free to all players, whether you purchase the expansion or not, that's a possibility. Though my personal bet is what they're going to do is the new crafting system. That also gets introduced in Witch Queen.
Yes.
I'm sure there's a mission going to be around that, and that's going to be what's free to all players.
Yes.
That's just my 2 cents on the matter, though.
Which thus will segue to, for us towards what we got in the ViDoc.
Yes, enough of the ranting of the ViDoc, because there's a lot people can do. I'm pissed. People are pissed. You're pissed, probably, if you play Destiny, maybe. I don't know. I'm just guessing here, but...
Yep.
On the topic of the ViDoc itself, we actually got a bit of info related to a bunch of things, honestly. Well, okay, I don't want to say that, because actually when you look at the ViDoc, we actually don't get much info. It's just a bunch of screenshots of like, ooh, look what will happen, but they don't actually tell you anything that we didn't already kind of know. The only really thing they've showed us is more in-depth details on the crafting system is the only real big takeaway from things. Like, if you pick between the lines, there are a few story bits that they kind of reveal and kind of tease here and there, but outside of telling us anything for the new expansion, they don't actually tell us much when it comes to what's going on with the new expansion.
Yeah.
So, we actually do get to see, like I said, though, a preview of what the crafting system will look like, and kind of what that menu will look like, and the multiple different kind of things required.
Yeah, you get a little bit of an idea of, like, you'll be able to craft different weapons and whatnot, so you'll probably be like a nice good weapon that you have now that has a good roll. If you want to go and have multiple rolls of that but for different weapons, you could probably do that, and then you can go and boost yourself in certain aspects. So
yeah, you don't have to carry, like, you can not only make weapons, but you can also reshape remade weapons, so you don't have to carry like 16 different made versions of that one weapon to get the god roll version. You can just retool it as needed, which is very nice.
Yes.
That way you don't have to carry like 16 different versions of that same made weapon. They also kind of revealed that the perks you'll be able to put on weapons will not be just every perk that exists at all. Every gun will have certain perks that you cannot put on it, and a good chunk you can. Kind of like how guns are now.
Yeah. Some weapons can have almost every perk, and then some can only have a very select few.
But they did also show that there will also be what looks to be enhanced perks that you can get for your weapon. So basically the same perk that already exists, but kind of like an enhanced version of it. How exactly that enhancement will work, not too sure. Maybe it's like a more powerful version of that weapon. So for example, maybe Rampage will deal more damage than usual.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, maybe snapshot sights will, I don't know, snap 3 times quicker or something. I don't know. Just a guess.
There's gonna be something specific that's gonna be changing up for how weapons operate and how perks operate when it drops. But you do get a bit of an idea on what you're getting into when you do eventually go and start crafting your own weapons and tools.
We did get a few interesting tidbits, though, about how it will be from what the look of... We did also kind of get a glimpse of the Witch Queen's campaign map.
Yes.
And it's kind of interesting. We did get to see how the replayable missions will work. At the bottom of it seems the map is going to be like 2 big buttons.
Yeah,
One's going to be for the regular replay of the campaign, and the other's going to be for the legendary version. Now, whether you can just click on the button and select any mission, or it'll be like a weekly rotation with Shadowkeep.
There's a chance it might be a rotation, but what I feel like it's gonna be is it's kind of gonna be like as you play through the campaign, and it's gonna be like a normal campaign. But then when you do the replay campaign or the legendary campaign, you're
like
kind of playing it like a Nightfall or Strike.
Maybe they'll have like a drop-down menu of the missions you've completed, so you can just kind of select from there.
Maybe.
That'd be nice.
They're definitely going to be changing up stuff, and that's something that'll be nice to have, because being able to go and replay like campaigns is always a really nice thing to have. Let's be honest here. Like, you go...
wanted to do this since D1 again.
Yeah, it's like you go and play through a campaign. There's a certain part where you're like, oh, I love this. I want to be part of this again. Or, oh, I kind of messed up this part here. I want to, you know, improve. I'll use this time around. That way I'm even stronger or something.
Yeah, they had that a lot back in D1. Like, all the missions they ever introduced in D1 were all replayable as just nodes on the map for anyone who remembers D1. For any of our viewers that are veterans like myself. That's a humble brag right there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But they also had that when you started up D2 as well. Ikora used to be the kind of vendor for that, where you can kind of go to her and there'd be like weekly missions that would rotate through her, like meditate on your missions, I believe it would be, like stuff like that. And it was just a fun way of allowing you to replay the whole story mission and stuff like that. The only mission you really couldn't replay, I believe, was the actual exorcist from the tower, evacuation from the tower, like the first mission from that. I think, at least I never saw that mission in the playlist. Maybe you could, I just never saw it. But all the others you could replay. But then they eventually took that feature out entirely for some reason. And they never really had the ability to replay missions ever since then, except when they kind of tried to bring it back in Shadowkeep. Where the missions are...
They brought it back as like a weekly one of the missions
kind of
are available.
Admittedly, it was kind of like what they did back with Ikora, except this time it was just literally on the moon itself, and it was just massive nodes you could replay. So it made it a lot more simple, which was a nice concept, admittedly, and I liked doing that, but there weren't many missions in the Shadowkeep campaign to begin with, so there wasn't really much to select from, truth be told.
No. Though frankly, any mission that lets you drive a tank is a good mission.
Any mission, yeah, no, fair, that is true. Any mission that lets you drive a tank. Also, can we just acknowledge how this is a much better rendered skiff than what they put on Europa? Just for a second here.
Yeah, well,
we were talking about this the other day.
Yeah, we don't question that. We don't question that. Clearly...
No, you don't question that. I question that.
Well, no. We don't question that, because clearly the skiff on Europa that was crashed literally in the same position like this needed to go and be a white-looking skiff that you can actually see through it through some of the cracks and openings. So don't worry about it. It had to be done. It had to be done.
Anyways. I mean, you know, probably cut corners so they could focus more on the seasonal campaign. So I can understand in a way why they did it.
Frankly, it's just one of those things where it's like, it's kind of like Elsie with the little red texture underneath her neck there. It's just one of those things where it's like, we really don't know what's going on there. We really won't.
Yeah, it probably was just for texture mapping or something like you said back then. I didn't know you were going to bring that up, though. That's a weird thing to bring up.
Well, I mean, it's kind of the same type of thing that happened. It's like, yeah, there's a weird texture thing going on here. I don't understand what this is or why it's here, but it's here.
Who knows? Who knows? But regardless, you know, stuff happens.
But yeah, no. For Witch Queen so far, what it seems like is we get a few scenes of like different locations. We get some scenes of what's going to be coming for the first season, where we're working with Keitel. And
Keitel's coming back, it seems.
Yes.
And we even get to see what looks like the new seasonal armor and ghost shell, which looks really cool, honestly, especially for like the Titan, where you get to see like basically a helmet with horns on it.
Yeah, basically.
The ghost shell kind of has that too.
Basically a Cabal.
basically a human Cabal. The ghost shell looks kind of interesting too, with like the little thing with the two like little horns on it. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, there is one scene that I was watching Bife's overview of the thing, and he actually paused exactly on it, where you see like the 3 worms come out of the sea, and I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't actually realize that on the first run through because of how fast that scene was. It's like, oh yeah, that is a big scene with like 3 worm gods. That's a nerd moment for the lore.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's gonna be kind of like we're gonna learn about the past, about the Hive and all that during this. Yeah. Like
his
we're
theory
gonna be
was
expunged about it and all that.
His theory was that could have been like an image of Fundament back in the day, because that was apparently like a gas giant with an ocean on it somewhere. So that could be what that looked like. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or that could be more modern times. If that's the case, there's a sea somewhere with 3 worm gods in it, and that sea should be nuked to oblivion.
Well,
worthy sacrifice.
A mission will soon be commencing.
But But regardless.
But yeah, we get a few scenes. It seems like the beginning will be taking part on Mars, so we're gonna be
Or at least a
seeing.
small section of it.
Yeah, we're gonna or something, because like the environment is literally orange like Mars. It's set up like Mars. Everything about it is Mars, and we just see this big ship while Sabathune's going and spieling as she does, and it just seems like
She loves her speeches.
yeah, it's like it kind of seems like she's dropping in on us while there or something. Like,
Well, I mean, it is Mars. We have confirmed that it is Mars, or people have confirmed that it is Mars. Though the logic is that it's probably going to be like anyone who remembers the Taken King, like those old that old D1 campaign. It'll probably be like what happens back then, which you'll get like maybe one mission on Mars specifically, and then it kind of, it's kind of a one-off mission that you go there. And it seems
yeah,
like the actual crafting station will be on Mars itself, but it will be like a little small enclosed space. Fun fact, I don't remember who said this originally, but I think someone mentioned that some article mentioned that when Bungie was doing a preview with them, they actually saw NPC guardians in this space as well. So that'll be interesting.
That'll actually be interesting gameplay wise, going and having NPC guardians. Let's be honest here. That'll be an interesting thing to have. But yeah, no, it's kind of weird because I have a feeling how that the like story wise the reason the story reason why we're gonna be able to go to Mars and see it might be because Sabathune's gonna kind of like show that, yeah, no, my plan is to go and stop these ships. I do plan on stopping the Black Fleet.
We're still believing she'll help us. We're still going on with the theory.
I don't know if she'll help us at this point, because I'm more skeptical if she really is or not. I mean, I understand, yeah, she's for herself, but frankly,
it just makes
everything makes more sense for her to just immediately after the worm's gone be like, yeah, no, I want to work with you, but the only reason why we're going after her and fighting her is because, no, you've taken the light. That's our toy. Leave, get out.
That's our toy. Leave off. But
yeah, like I honestly, like, it would be interesting for the story because it would show that this time it's humanity and the Guardians that are the aggressors rather than, like, it would be the complete opposite than Beyond Light, where the fallen like go and discover the darkness and they're gonna use it to kill humanity and the Traveler. Thus, the Guardians come in and take it. Like,
yeah,
it's the complete opposite with that.
Here's the thing. I do like to. I want to agree with you. I truly do. Because that would be an interesting story of just like she in her own weird way of kind of like what the Spider does, where he's on his own really side, but he does help when it's convenient for him.
Yeah.
I feel like I want that to be where Sabathun kind of falls into, where she helps when it's convenient. But the idea of her just being like, okay, you've served your purpose, goodbye now, it just feels, I don't want to say cliche, but lazy. It's like,
yeah.
Yes, big bad Hive now tries to kill us. Like all Hive do! Like,
yeah.
It just feels like we've kind of treaded this thing with, I get, Zebo Wrath would kill us on sight, sure, Orcs would kill us on sight, kind of because he hated us for killing his son, so that's understandable.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
When you think about it, she really doesn't have any reason to get rid of us. Outside of, yes, we could attack her in the future, but then again, so can everything, so...
Yeah, but, like, that just goes to the point that I made, where it's like, it would make sense if it was, like, the Vanguard and humanity who were being the aggressors this time. It's like, Sabathun's like, oh, we can be peaceful. No, you take our light, you die.
It's possible. I honestly am kind of all bets off at this point when it comes to personally.
It can go back and forth. It's like, before I strongly thought it was going to go one way, but now it's like, it can go either way now.
And now when I look at the idea of, like, when you look at, fun fact, when you're looking at the crafting system, you actually get to see the crafting bit for, I'm sure this is how they're going to put all, like, new weapons into the game now, which is how you craft them and stuff like that, which would make, at least as far as raid weapons are concerned, far more sense if you craft these raid weapons, because then they can get a little bit more of a story to them instead of just, I randomly pulled this god gun out of a chest one day.
Yes.
But you get to see the Austria Striga, which people have translated actually means bone witch, Why is that important? Well, when you read the actual flavor text for this weapon, so basically the description that comes with the weapon, it's basically a revision to the Books of Sorrow. And it goes along the lines of something akin to, true power is not defeating your enemy, it is making your enemy into a blade, or something along that line.
Oh, so what? It's basically from Sabathune's perspective, basically?
Not really. It's more of a revision to the Books of Sorrow, where it's like, true power is not simply killing your enemy, it's making their ass into a gun, to put it simply.
Oh.
Which we have a track record of doing when it comes to Hive gods. We did that with Oryx, we did that with Zol. Didn't really do that with Nokris, but then again, he was kind of the disgrace god, so he doesn't really count in a way.
I mean, it's still counts.
So people are probably wondering if it's like, oh, once we maybe kill Sabathun, we stick her ass in the Ostrostriga, and that's kind of what we do. It's kind of like her thing.
Maybe.
I kind of hope not. Like, I hope the Ostrostriga is related to her, but I hope
we've got enough hives that are turned into weapons and stuff.
Well, you can never have enough enemies in a gun, but
well, still, it gets to a point. It's like, well, where, at what point does the story actually continue to progress?
Well, it's kind of interesting because it's like some people are saying people are kind of annoyed with the idea of like bringing in Aramis and then immediately like not getting the chance to kill her, which on one hand kind of shows you how much of a killmonger the entire Destiny player population is. But on the other hand, it's like, okay, here's Sabathun, we kill her off. Okay, yeah, for the sake of the story, we can progress past Sabathun, but it also feels like you could still do a lot with her. Just think about it. Sabathun has always had a big influence in the lore, speculate, but she has never had any physical, like, well, no, she has had physical ties and things with, like, for example, the Dreaming City Curse was part of her thing, but the chance to interact with her physically is never really been a thing.
Not like a direct, okay, I'm doing something now, this is all me, this is all my army.
Like, she's always had that kind of backseat kind of control thing, but we never actually had a chance to deal with her physically speaking.
Yeah.
At least in terms of, like, a physical, like, I am Sabathun kind of thing, like you kind of said. So it would be kind of interesting to play off that as kind of, like, the duality of, like... Because there is this whole theory that they're setting up here where it's like, okay, frickin' what's her name? Now I can't remember. That's terrible. Oh yeah, Zevorath. How do I not remember that name? Zevorath wants to kill, or at least capture Sabathun, presumably to kill.
Yeah, I mean.
So it's like, why? Well, yeah, she could be just using the light.
Isn't it like even in the story that like the reason she's doing it is because something's compelling her to do so?
Well, yeah, something's compelling her to do so. So the theory is the pyramids are afraid of possibly what she knows. So at the end of the day, it's like, oh, they're afraid of what she knows. She could tell you, and then we go and kill her anyway. Well, congratulations, we just did their job for them.
Yeah.
It's like, we could have run a bit with this story a little bit, but you're like, nah, kill. Which I'm sure is going to be a little bit of a controversial topic. Some people probably want to kill Sabathun, some people don't. Personally, I think we could still do a lot more with her.
Yeah.
But... And if you ask me, how they kind of said it in the ViDoc, where it's like, oh, now she just wants to get rid of us. It's like, yeah, no, I can see her doing that, but it just kind of feels lazy at that point. Like, okay, the god who betrays you, yay, didn't see that coming. It's like, where's the big twist? It's like, nobody saw that coming from a mile off. No.
Yeah, well, don't worry about it. Don't question it.
There could be something more.
The Hive god, apparently, of trickery has greater plans.
But yeah, it's like, she betrays us and stuff like that, and yada yada yada. It's like, okay, cool, that's interesting. That just kind of feels like lazy writing, though, because that kind of felt like that was gonna happen anyway.
Yeah, well, don't worry about it.
Like, my logic was, and I think some people's logic going into this before they said all this was, like, they could keep Zevorath as a permanent, like, enemy of the story. Like, the idea that we're exploring the possibility of allying with the other factions. Like, obviously we ally with Kaidold, we've allied with Mithrax,
Yeah.
So there's your two allies there. And when it comes to the Hive, you could possibly play off the idea of a kind of morally dubious alliance with Sabathun, technically.
Yeah,
Because here's...
like it would make sense that eventually there would be some subsection of the Hive that are like, okay, clearly
we
the
don't have to
light.
kill you anymore.
Yeah,
Why
it's like,
bother?
yeah, clearly the light is powerful as well, and we're all about, you know, the sword logic being strongest survive. It might be worth trying this out because clearly it's benefiting the Guardians, and I mean, sure, we've killed a good number of them, but they
They've
are
killed a lot of us, too.
they've also, you know, completely halted any and all advances we really make, unlike literally every other species we've ever come across. So clearly they're doing something right.
Yeah, they clearly got something going for them, but... You know, that would be the kind of perfect duality there. You keep Zebo Wrath as a permanent enemy because she's the god of war. That would just make too much sense. Where instead it's like you kill Oryx, you kill Zebo Wrath, you kill, you know, congratulations, you killed them all.
There's literally no one left.
There's literally no one left. It's wonderful.
Like, that's
what did that accomplish exactly?
Like, it's basically the state that the Red Legion is in. Like,
yeah, it's like
we've got no real leaders. All our leaders keep getting killed in strikes and stuff. It's like we got nothing left.
Yeah, it's like that's just kind of terrible in the long run. Because here's the thing: when you kill the Hive gods, what's next for the Hive? Or did you not think about that, Bungie? Or did you not? It's like, okay, we kill the Hive gods. We kill, you know, the worm gods. Okay, they don't have to do with the worms anymore. Okay, sure, we can play off that logic now.
Now what?
And we finally kill Zebo Wrath eventually. Okay, cool. Now the enemies of the Hive are dead. What comes next for the Hive? Do they just stop existing entirely in the story? Like,
yeah.
It just kind of feels like once every Hive god is killed and stuff like that, we're just left at a big blank slate of, well, now what?
Well, the one thing that I will say for the story is the fact that Elsie goes and tells us of like a dark future where everyone, pretty much everyone, literally goes with the darkness and fights to kill everyone, basically.
Yeah, it's basically a giant free.
But there's
one galactic-sized rumble match.
but there's one scene during the ViDoc where you get to see like a little bit of a cutscene where you see your Guardian, you see Shax, you see Zavala, Ikora, you see everyone all together.
They're all kind of sitting there being like, well, now what do we do?
Yeah, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, it kind of feels like the timeline we are in is going to be the opposite, where instead of everyone's kind of aligned directly with the dark, everyone's going to be either kind of aligned with like this mix of light and dark.
Yeah, that kind of, I think Vive kind of said it best, where he's like, we're the kind of reason the timeline has been so different up until this point. So usually it's just like everyone becomes dark. Elsie, you know, or Anna eventually kills her sister. Stuff like that happens. No spoiler for the book of, I can't remember what it's called, honestly, the book.
But
I think, yeah, this is a Dark Future lore book. Spoiler for that if you haven't read it. But yeah, Anna eventually kills Elsie, or Elsie eventually kills Anna, I mean, when Anna embraces the darkness and goes mad like everyone else, you know?
Yeah. Though it's
the apocalypse essentially happens and the Traveler explodes.
No, it's interesting to think about side part for a second.
Yeah.
Isn't in the book it goes and mentions us also being like subjected to the same thing? We were no different than anyone else.
Well, that's
but
the
all
thing.
of a sudden now we are.
That's the weird part. It's like at first it really depends. When you play through the Beyond Light campaign, you read the lore book, you kind of get two different vibes. On one hand, you get the vibe that we just never existed in that future, so that never happened. Yet Elsie then says you were also, you know, a dark version as well. You fell with the darkness as well. Okay.
Which is
but contradictory to the very point of like, did we exist? Did we not exist? And if we did we fall to the dark, or we just
not?
So, yeah. I think there is kind of like a continuity error where it's like, did we exist? Did we not exist? And if we did, we fell to the darkness, it seems.
Yeah, well, you know.
But there's a bunch of shit that we ended up doing that ended up getting credited to something else, where it's like people were sent into the Black Garden, the Black Garden never got destroyed, people became corrupted by the Black Garden, blah blah blah. The apocalypse ends up happening, but we destroyed the Black Garden, a bunch of other things. So the logic was, well, if, you know, if someone else was credited with the Black Garden, then maybe we just didn't exist in that timeline. Then Elsie says, no, we did, we just got corrupted. So it's like, okay, did we exist? And how did we not, you know? Bunch of question marks, really. Which might just be a factor of, you know, Bungie having a little bit of a continuity error. Happens all the time, happens every once in a while, so, eh.
You know. Though it would be kind of interesting if either way, really. Because if we didn't exist and then suddenly we do exist, then clearly there's something weird going on. Like,
well, I mean, in fairness...
Well, no. Take a second here. If we didn't exist, but our ghost did, then did that mean our ghost found a different guardian, or did our ghost just not find us at all? Or...
I think you're overthinking this because of a simple reason that I can explain away in one second. Simple thing. In one of the accusations made to Bungie that was revealed recently about how their whole thing about, you know, the whole, Bungie's kind of problems, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things they talk about is that the lore department and the story writers, and the kind of people who write the lines, will kind of go to war with each other. So they'll write one thing in the lore, and then someone will rewrite the lines for the voice work, and then they'll find out at the last minute, and that causes the continuity clashes sometimes. Which might explain the occasional continuity clash, because that was back before we found it out. And there was also one other instance back in the extraction missions from, like, Mars, where Anna says, oh, all of Rasputin was destroyed, and he's looking in the buffer, and yet we're also finding pieces of his frame somehow. It's like, is he destroyed or was he not destroyed? And why are we finding pieces of his frame if we're looking for the buffer, and a bunch of shit?
And why are we finding the frame all the way out here?
Well, it's kind of like, you know, he was utterly destroyed and stuff like that, and yet we're looking for pieces of his frame, and yet the buffer apparently holds pieces of him. It's confusing.
Don't worry.
But that might explain the occasional continuity clash of sometimes Bungie's writers say one thing and Bungie's, you know, other Bungie writers say something else.
Yeah.
Or the old guard, as they say, something else.
So then what did they do for the timeline thing then?
They probably don't even. Well, like I said, in cases like that, it's probably just best to just, you know, just go with something. I don't know. I honestly don't know how to give you the answer to that one.
I literally thought you were going with, it's like, you were going to go and say, like, you're gonna solve the problem for the ghost thing, and I was overthinking it.
Oh, in that case, yeah, I think it's just the best case to simply say that we just simply didn't exist.
Yeah.
Because we're not mentioned at all in the lore books, and those are often what's referenced in the long term, so really best to just...
Yeah, but still, either way, it would be weird to think about, because... Oh, what, do you think we're doing a strike?
Oh, I thought we were...
No, this is a strike.
Did we just on the Tangled Shore?
Yeah, we just went on the Tangled Shore.
Oh, I didn't realize.
I've done this strike. I've done it so many times. It's ingrained. I know what I must do. Kill.
Honestly, I was doing it so much yesterday. I was doing the Nightfall so much yesterday. But yeah.
But
actually, I was, like I said, when I was gonna do that thing yesterday, when I said I was gonna go on the Crucible and everything, I said I was gonna do all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just before I went on those Crucible runs, my controller died after the Rumble match. So I had to spend the rest of the night waiting for it to charge.
Perhaps,
well, I could have used it, but I'm like,
perhaps I will not. But yeah, no. Like,
anyways,
I'll make the quick timeline joke. Well, not jokes, but thoughts on like the implementations of it. Because if you don't exist but your ghost does that mean your ghost either A, found a different guardian, or B, just didn't find you at all? Or if you did exist, then all of a sudden you're a completely different person than what you were in all the other timelines. So like, there might have been some kind of specific pattern to what you did in all the other timelines, but this time it's like completely different.
Well, in fairness, I think you might somewhat be onto something there, because I do remember, I think it was maybe By from Mylan who mentioned something like this, where when you look at the old lore about when Elsie first found us, way back in D1, there was actually, I think there were pieces where the Exo Stranger's monitoring us, right, from afar, because we actually meet her way back then, right?
Yeah, no, even in D2, before Beyond Light, when you did the first mission, you'd still have the scene with Elsie, I believe.
Well, even then, it's like there are records where she's mentioning, "Oh, this one is a failure too," when she's watching you from afar. Because remember, she's time jumped constantly before, so she might be referencing us as a failure to the timeline. So maybe it would be safer to say that we did exist, but we ended up falling to darkness, same as everyone else, and we didn't become legend, and blah 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 blah. We didn't do half the shit we did, so maybe that's a safe bet. Regardless, I don't think it matters in the grand scheme of things because that's not the timeline that's going to happen.
No, it's just it would be interesting to see how it plays out in the lore, where eventually down the line that goes and shows like to Elsie and others that it's like, all right, maybe there's a lot more forces out there than just the nine, the light, and the dark. There's like something else out there.
Maybe
Like
not.
start making like kind of more connections towards our world and how the fact that
what you want to bring in God?
I don't know. It's just
please don't.
It's well, no, it's just it's weird when a game gets meta, like going and bringing in real life aspects into the game, like going and making a connection between the real world and the game world, because you can do a fair amount with that alone. And it's interesting to see that, especially for Bungie, because Bungie does like a lot of they've done a lot
they
of
do a lot of meta stuff in Destiny.
They've done a lot of meta storytelling. So it would be interesting to see what they do with like meta storytelling on the scale of connection to real life. Go.
Well, I mean, it's like in this case they're like, okay, like actually they did this actually recently in the books of in the new Beyond Light, not Beyond Light, in the new Witch Queen lore book. An old civilization, I can't remember what it's called. I think Mylan brought it up recently in one of his videos. Shout out to Mylan Games, another of the two big lore masters of Destiny.
Yes.
He did a video where it's like Trader Ghosts and whatnot. And there's actually a letter to Ikora Rey in the Collector's Edition lore book from a Guardian, I can't remember her name, but she was resurrected in a section of Earth that was like way, way long ago. I can't remember its name, but it was like from like, I don't know, maybe a few million years ago, right? Or I feel a few 100,000 years ago, right? So way before the Traveler, way before the Golden Age and everything. And this Guardian is saying that she believes she might be the oldest Guardian to ever be rezzed, and that she may have been dead for over maybe 100,000 years. So the logic of the lore book that they're implying why this is all relevant is because if that is the case, then exposure to the Traveler pre-exposure that was a thing during the Golden Age when, the Traveler was just kind of sitting on Earth and everything, wasn't a necessary factor to make Guardians. You can still resurrect people who have not been exposed to the Traveler in life.
But the question is, then how did this ghost get made before the Traveler even showed up?
Well, no, the ghost itself was made during the Traveler, right? It was made, it had found its Guardian.
Yeah, no, but
during this time period, and it was made along with the other ghosts.
This time period, was this like right just after the ghosts were made and released, or like?
No, it's happened fairly recently. Like, let's say within the past, I don't know, 3-4 years. Because there are still ghosts that are looking for guardians, right? Same with kind of like what happened to Crow.
Yeah, but no, I'm talking about like the oldest guardian type thing. Like
the oldest guardian would be way back in the Dark Ages. Like that would be back in the Risen times.
Okay, so
when there were still like warlords and iron lords.
Okay, so this was basically like right at the very beginning of.
No, they could have been recently. It's just that they were themselves, their corpse was a person who died way before the Traveler ever came to Earth to begin with. Because the assumption at this point may have, like a lot of people may have been assuming at this point that because the Golden Age existed and everything, that to become a Guardian you had to at least been exposed to the Traveler in life before you became a Guardian and died the first time. But her being raised as a Guardian, despite having been dead chronologically for maybe 100,000 years, way before the Traveler ever came to Earth, shows you that you do not have to have been exposed to the Traveler in life to be resurrected as a Guardian. So she may not be old in terms of Guardian standards, but she's old in terms of like physical body
her
standards.
original existence.
Yeah, her original existence is really fucking old.
Oh,
Like, that
okay.
is mummy talk right there. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if she was resurrected in, like, a museum somewhere.
But yeah. So yeah, we've got plenty coming on the way for Witch Queen, going and seeing that they're definitely beefed up the story and what's going on from Beyond Light. So
Mm-hmm.
they're clearly got that going, and as we said a little bit ago, pretty much Bungie's got Sony backing now, so
They've got Sony backing now, yeah, so that could lead to
hopefully
more money, more
things are
studios. Let's see if we can get the
better.
heroic event, actually.
Oh,
I need the ghost shells. I need...
okay. Well, that's unless that guy kills him.
Every time I try to get the heroic event for one of these things, one of you killmongers just absolutely destroys the darn thing.
Well, let's be honest. The heroic event for this one is a little annoying to get, and it's just like
They all are like that.
Yeah, but this is literally like the fastest public event type that you can get. Literally just
Still,
go
I
to the
need 2
Tangled
ghost shells. There only is
Shore
one.
and just take them all out instantly.
Yeah, well, I'd rather get 2 ghost shells than 1. You know how annoying those things are to farm? Or ghost shell fragments? Whatever they're called.
Perhaps.
Because you have to... You only get 1... Yeah, ghost fragments. You only get 1 per every patrol mission you run. So doing this and getting 2 is much bang for their buck. And I'm trying to farm the Cade Sparrow, or attempting to get it, at the very least.
Attempting.
Speaking of which, now that there's a new reset, I can get more wanted bounties.
Yes. But yeah, no, like there's a fair amount going on. You've got, like I said earlier, you've got a Mars location, and it also does look like there's an Earth-like location.
Yeah, that's the thing people are confused about, that kind of Earth scene.
Me and Nick the other day, we talked about the other day, like it might be on Sabathune's throne world, what we saw there, but
Possibly.
I don't think it would be, because you don't see any real haze. Like, that's the thing, like no matter where you are in the throne world, you see like this weird green like haze, ever so slight haze.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see any of that in any of the other locations that would reference being in the throne world. So it's a little weird. And another thing is that ship that we see at the beginning while on Mars, the obvious Witch Queen ship.
I think Bife actually said, if I may interject here, Level,
Hmm.
he said that, like, here's the thing. When you always go to a Hive throne world, you always require an entry point. Like, in the case of his example was in, back in D1, when you went to Crota's throne world, at the bottom of the Hellmouth, there's, like, this keyhole, essentially, what it's called. Which is basically this hole into his throne world. It's like this massive underground portal, essentially.
Hmm.
That links into his throne world. And so his logic is maybe that ship is the keyhole into Sabathune's throne world, so to speak. Or maybe that's the entry point that we'll be using to actually get in there.
You need an anchor in the physical world in order to have your throne world be properly connected, so.
Or something like that, yeah. So maybe that's why, because if it's sitting above the actual, like, Mars, like, crafting area, maybe that's why. Because here's the thing. If you look at the map for the ViDoc, which, again, we've linked in the description of this video, for those who are curious, if you want to look at the whole thing, it's only, like, 16 minutes, so it's not that long.
No.
Which, considering some are an hour, is pretty telling, honestly.
Yeah.
But, in this one, you actually see on the map for Witch Queen that the crafting like public area is also appearing on that map. So if you want to access it, you have to actually click on the throne world and then click on that the crafting area if you want to access it. Which despite it being the throne world, is the crafting area is on Mars. So the logic is maybe they are connected somehow.
Yeah.
And if the throne world gateway is indeed above that crafting station, that would at least tangibly make sense. So, there's that theory.
Yeah, well, there's that. I mean, frankly, we get a good idea and glimpse into what's going on. And what are you doing?
I'm going after patrol. More ghost shells or fragments.
Okay. For a moment, I was like, what are you attempting to follow them in their nightfall or strike?
Nah.
Here, I'll help you guys format it. Oh wait, where'd you all go? I literally was following you.
Yeah, they all despawn them, and you're like, okay, whatever. Now there's a patrol that has to take you back here. The
Nah,
dead servitor.
yeah. But yeah, there's plenty that is
Oh, wait.
clearly being set up for Witch Queen. There's hopefully going to be a fair bit more to do. And yeah, this is kind of just a spiel on like, yeah, no, Destiny's Witch Queen's coming out. Get ready for that.
Maybe we'll get the exorcism eventually.
Maybe.
Please, don't let it be in Witch Queen. I swear to God, Bungie.
We'll see.
I swear to the Traveler, Bungie. If you do that.
While we're here, I might as well make my thought on what Sabathun might do when she does eventually go and get her exorcism.
Oh yeah.
Her grand plan is to get the worm removed and then like let us kill her. So we're like, oh yeah, no, my plan is to go and kill the Witch Queen when the worm is removed. It's like, all right, we kill the Witch Queen, and then she immediately comes back with the ghost and is like, oh yeah, here's some light powers that I have now.
Honestly, here's the light powers. Honestly, making Marasav look like an idiot. I don't care if Sabathun isn't evil. That's worth all the money in the. That's worth all the glimmer in the galaxy.
It's just it would go perfectly for Sabathun's like whole trickery thing, because it's like ultimate trick. Ah yes, you killed me.
I am dead. No, I'm
now
not.
I'm a guardian. Wait, what?
I'm a guardian. What will you do? A bit like eating your own. No, for anyone who gets that reference. But
So,
honestly,
it'll be interesting to see what they're setting
Yes.
up and finalizing for Witch Queen.
yeah, screw all the story of Witch Queen. I just want to see Marasav's reaction to being made an idiot for the 348th time. This time in front of everybody.
It's like, I am the smartest person. I am the best queen. No, you're not. No, you're
Honestly,
not.
her plan to basically like, oh, we can get rid of Sabathun. Now all of the heavy players are now meeting in one room, being like, oh, what do we do now? And then she's like, well, I have a plan. Everyone, shut up! You're the reason we're in this problem to begin
Yeah,
with.
yeah. It's like all the players who've ever gone through like a bunch of raids and since D1 are looking at her like, oh,
Can I kill her?
This isn't gonna end well.
Honestly, it's like,
It's
I
like
swear to God, the
never
trust of
let
Marasav will plummet after this.
No, it's like never let the NPCs go and decide on what the plan is.
Well, no, I
Meanwhile,
imagine like
all the NPCs who set the plan.
well, I mean, like everyone from like Saint to Zavala to Keitel, they're all like, we have a chance. Let's kill Sabathun now. And Mar's like, no, wait, I have a grand plan. And it'll obviously backfire horribly, and she'll look like a bloody idiot in front of everybody. And then the next time she says, I have a grand plan, everyone will promptly slap her and say, no, you're the reason we're in this mess to begin with.
It's like, all your plans constantly fail. Stop it.
Honestly, it'll be really interesting. The trust of Marasav will be completely shattered, and I honestly want to see the Awokens like. I honestly want to see, for example, like Petra's reaction to all of this when her queen's grand plan goes up in flames, horribly.
It's like, you've spent all this time in the void, doing this.
Yeah, it's like, you are useful for your armies. Shut up and give me your armies.
Yep.
Honestly, though, it'll be interesting this season that we see, because it looks like we'll actually get to be like working alongside the Scions and stuff like that, which raises a lot of interesting lore questions, because there is a sect of Scions that just wants to kill all Guardians because of the whole thing involving Ixal and Saint and the whole season that involved Saint and stuff like that. So
Well,
it'll be interesting.
Well, that was still during the time when the alien scum were going against humanity, so
Alien scum.
I don't think you realize how much trouble you are in for going and, trying to constantly kill us.
On a side note, I actually realized this only just before we watched the video, because someone pointed out. I think it was, what was it, Houndish? Yeah, Houndish, who pointed it out. That it looks like the weapon that we actually get this season, there's actually a little bit of promotional art for the Season of the Risen, which is what it's called. Which is kind of funny, because Risen used to be the old name the Guardians had before they all became, Guardians, so... Technically, they're Hive Risen, not Hive Guardians, guys. Get it right. But anyways, it looks like, more importantly, we'll be able to wield the seasonal artifact as an actual weapon this time.
Ah. So instead
We
of
get to
it
see
literally just being an item that you're like, alright, I'm gonna go put this in a vault, but not my vault. It's like an actual thing.
I mean, everyone was begging to wield the hammer of the proving back in season the Chosen, so this might have been them asking. Like, Bungie will give players what they want if they ask hard enough.
Yeah,
This
it's
is,
like
I think,
Bungie was looking at that and it's like, yeah, no, we probably had a missed opportunity with that. Alright, we'll actually let you have a toy this time.
And I mean, here's the thing: like when they're introducing the glaive class, this weapon could be an excellent glaive type.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, some kind of spear, because it looks like it's being thrown in the same method as like the Valkyrie was back in Warmind. So.
Well, it's the same throwing thing as like with the stasis shards that the Titans can generate, right?
Yeah, kinda, yeah.
Yeah. So.
We'll see.
Like, it's already in the game, it's already set up, so there's no reason to not finish it.
And that would kind of introduce what you kind of do with Legacy, like, because after the seasons, right, every kind of seasonal artifact becomes a legacy weapon or a legacy object that really doesn't have a use outside of that content anymore. And once all the legacy stuff gets removed, or at least all the seasonal legacy stuff gets removed come Witch Queen, well, all that stuff just disappear from the inventory, which, okay, makes sense, because if you want to look at it lore-wise, you can still see it from the collections tab and stuff like that. But if we had something like what they're introducing possibly this season with like an actual seasonal artifact that's also dueling as a weapon, after the season ends, you can still use it as a weapon.
Yeah.
Which would be really cool.
It's like it's still there, so you can still do stuff with it.
Yeah. There is actually like a grand purpose to it, and it's not just, oh, the off-seasonal weapon that's like, will go away in like a season or two.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting. Man, I just want to see like a massive like Guardian Cabal invasion force, backed by like, I don't know, Awoken fleets. That'll probably be what, like we were talking about this actually, me and Justin, yesterday when we were playing the mission for the moon that's on this one, which is basically the first one where the massive moon invasion happens for the Scarlet Keep. I'm thinking, if that is what Total Battle, if that's what the eventual siege of Total Battle looks like, with just like Guardians, Cabal, and like Awoken just massively sieging the planet against like, I don't know, on a like Hive Hive army. Let's go, man. Let's go like Total Battle Normandy. Let's go right now.
Like that would basically be on the scale of some of Bungie's, like with Halo. It'd be on the scale of like the massive firefights that would be happening around you. So, yeah.
Total Battles Normandy. Make it happen, Bungie.
Come on. Let's see it.
I want to see that. I want to see it.
Like you get a little bit, you get a little bit of that in Halo Reach while you're in the city and you're evacuating civilians and stuff. You get a little bit of that during one of the moments when you're flying in a Falcon. You seeing a bunch of other firefights. You can even help people out. You can even save a few, but you don't get it as big of a scale. So it'll be nice to see Bungie do that.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
It'll be very nice. Hopefully.
We'll see. We will see.
What time are we at for the recording?
We are now basically almost an hour.
Well, I think we'll cut it here then.
Yeah.
Hate to go past an hour. So there you go. There's our thoughts on the ViDoc, Witch Queen's ViDoc. Again, linked in the description if you want to see it. The Darkness in Light ViDoc. If you're interested in Witch Queen, stuff like that. Hope you like, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Comment. What did you think of the video? Give us suggestions for future videos. I am at least willing to take suggestions. I don't know about Justin. Maybe I shouldn't say that.
No suggestions. No suggestions. You do not suggest my work. My work is perfect.
My work is perfect, Igor.
You do not touch my work.
But, yeah, if you have any, what did you think of us? Like, comment, subscribe. Suggest to a friend. We're trying to get this channel out there, and I'd love to see it flourish. And I think I can speak for both of us on that one.
Yeah, we make jokes with the stuff that we do. We try to make it entertaining as much as we can. So hopefully at the end of this you are entertained. And
hope you are
entertainment is good.
Yep. Hope you. Yeah. all of it unscripted, so hope you enjoyed our raw take on all the ViDoc stuff and, you know, see what you think. So, with that in mind, I'm Nick, this is Justin, and until next week, good night. Cabal scum!